Hello, this is our Unit 4 test review that we have. This will be the review for the very last quiz that you have in Math 0530. I'm going to go over a few things with you to help you out as we look over the review. So let's look at some things here. Notice it says the following diagram shows the quadrants, and it shows the X and Y axis. So what I want to do is show you this. If you notice in this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is all the values in this quadrant 2, then we got quadrant 3 is all the values in this corner, and then we have quadrant 4. That's all the values here. Now, when we look at quadrant 1, we're going over and up. That means our x's are positive and our y's are positive. If I'm trying to get to this quadrant, I'm going back, so my x's are negative, my y's are positive. If I want in this quadrant, notice I'm going back and down, so both my x and y would be negative. If I want in this quadrant, my x would be positive, my y would be negative. Now, if notice the lines of your plane. This is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. The very middle of this is where you always start when you're graphing. It's called the origin, and it's the point 0, 0. So what's going to happen is they're going to ask you to write down the ordered pairs of points off of this plane, and they're going to ask you to tell what quadrant or the x or y axis. Now, if a point falls right on the line, say for instance, if the point is right here on the line, that means that point would fall on the x-axis, and that point would be 2, 0. Okay, 2, 0. So the x-axis 2, 0. Say I have a point on this axis right here. Okay, that's on the y-axis. Notice it's go over to 0, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice that one is 0, 4, negative 4, I'm sorry, because we went down. Notice the one that has the 0 in the y, that's on the x-axis. The one that has the 0 as their x value, that's on the y-axis. Okay. Now, if any point falls inside of this square, then that'd be in quadrant 1. Okay, so now remember your ordered pairs. All ordered pairs are written as x, y. So when you go to write your ordered pairs, you're telling how far you go over to the right or left and how far up or down. So for instance, like the point A, notice it's -4, -4. Because I went over on the x, down on the y. So like A would be -4, -4. Now, in this, notice you have to use your parentheses to write an ordered pair. So my A point would be -4, -4, and then it's going to ask you to tell the quadrant, this quadrant, remember it's counterclockwise, it starts 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's Roman numerals. Notice it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually you're going to see them written as 1, 2, 3, 4 as Roman numerals. It's all based on whatever is in your on your quiz. It may be written as Roman numerals. It may be written out as regular numbers. Most of the time it's in Roman numerals. So this would be like quadrant 1. It's hard to see. Let me change colors here. So this would be like quadrant 1. That's quadrant 1. This would be quadrant 2. Quadrant 2. This would be quadrant 3. Oops, I'm sorry, 3. 3 lines. I'll get it right in a minute. And then quadrant 4 is IV. There we go. So 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, so in this one, notice it asks you to write your quadrants out. So if I'm looking at the point A falls in quadrant, you got 1, 2, 3. So you'll come down on this, and we're going to write out 3. 1, 2, 3. calculator. So that's how you go, and you'll finish this all out. Okay, so that's the first page. Now, let's look at the next page. The next page is going to give you a linear equation and ask you to complete the table. So all you have to do is plug your x value into this, y equals 4x plus 1. You're going to plug in your x value and to solve. You can use the calculator, that's fine, and come up with your y value. And when you're doing this, it's going to come up with a table of points. So here's our first one. I'll just do the first one for you. We are going to take our equation, which is y equals 4x plus 1. I'm going to write it down. Y equals 4x plus 1. I'm going to plug in -2 for my x, so I have y equals 4 times -2 plus 1. Well, 4 times -2 is -8 plus 1. They're opposite signs, so I'm going to take 1 from 8 and keep my negative sign. So y is going to equal -7. Okay, now notice I'm going to plug in -7 for y, but when I go to write my answer, I've got to use parentheses. So it's parentheses, -2, comma, -7. Okay, if you do not put your parentheses, you'll miss that on the quiz, so make sure you do it. Now, you're going to complete the table, okay, with all your ordered pairs of points. Now, it asks you, let's see, it says use the following equation to complete the given table. Use your points to graph a line. You only need to plot 2 points to graph a line. What I usually do is I'll pick 3. Now, some of these will not fit on this plane. And so you only go pick a couple or 2 or 3 that will actually fit on the plane and then graph your line. So after you plot your points, then draw a line through it. Okay, number 3, it asks you to use the slope formula, and this is the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. That x and y, that's talking about having 2 points. So notice it says the slope of 2 points has the following formula. Also, the slope can be interpreted as rise over run. Now, use the following 2 points to complete the formula and find the slope. So I'm going to help you out here. When you do this, what you want to do is take each point and you're going to label it. So this is this number is x1, this is y1, because this is the x in my first point, y in my y in my first point. This is x2, and this is y2. This is the x in the second point, y in the second point. You're going to come and you're going to fill in this equation. Now, when I write this equation, what I do is I use parentheses. That's what you want to do first. You want to put these parentheses, and then you're going to fill in the values and work it. So that's how I always do this. I will take for every one of these variables, I will put a set of parentheses, and now I just fill in the blank. So notice it says use y2. I come over here, y2 is this number. That's what I'm going to write in this blank, 1870. And you're going to continue this process until you have all the blanks filled in. Then work the numerator, work the denominator, and divide. That'll give you your slope. Okay, notice number 4. Number 4 says a linear equation is in the form of y equals mx plus b. Now notice, whatever number's in front of x, that's called your slope. That's that letter M. M is the slope. Whatever the number is on the end, that's your y-intercept. We always write that as 0, comma, whatever that number is on the end. Okay, so it says write the equation of the line with the slope of this and the y-intercept of this. They want you to plug this in for M and this number here in for B, and just write the equation. That's it. Okay, next page. Maybe. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, absolute value. Absolute value means the distance a number is from 0. So for instance, if I have, let's do something. If I have these little lines, this means absolute value. If I say the absolute value of 3, that means I have a number line, and I have like 0, I have 1, I have 2, and I have 3. So when it says find the absolute value of 3, that means I'm counting from 0 to that number. And notice if it's a distance from 0 to 3, that means the distance would be 3. okay? But also, if I have the absolute value of negative 3, that'd be on this side. Notice that'd be -1, -2, -3. The distance from 0 to this point would also be 3. It's supposed to be a line there. That's absolute value. That's also 3. So when you take the absolute value, it always makes your number positive, okay? So they're going to ask you to take these numbers and just write out your absolute value. Okay, next thing. There's two things you need to know here. First of all, if they ask you to, it says, we're going to look at exponents, and it says exponents are written with a base and an exponent, okay? And 4 to the third, 4 is the base, 3 is the exponent, okay? This means, so when it asks you to write out the meaning of the exponent, you're writing out, like for instance, 4, in this case, 3 of the base. So I have 3 4s, 4 times 4 times 4. If it asks you to evaluate means actually work it. So notice if I have, what does this mean? This would be the meaning, 4 times 4 times 4. If they asked you to evaluate, you'll actually multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 would be 64. That would be the absolute answer, okay? And it says write out the meaning of each and evaluate. So I want you to take each one of these and write out the meaning, and then I want you to actually work it. You can use your calculator. Okay, next thing, we've done this over and over and over, but now we got some negative and positive numbers. They want you to put in your inequality and tell which number is the largest. So in this case, you will plot your point like -6 and -5. So if I look at this number line, here's my -6, here's my -5. Always remember the number farthest to the right on the number line is the larger number. That's like owing money. This would be like owing $6. This is only owing 5, so I owe less there. But my larger number is going to be the 5. The opening goes towards the larger number. So be sure to read through this and use your number line to kind of help you guide you. The number, when you plot the points, the number farthest to the right is the larger.